Welcome to the Viewless Wings Poetry Podcast, where we celebrate the craft of poetry. Each week we feature interviews with incredible poets, songwriters, and artists, including Olivia Gatwood, Safia El Hilo, Dana Joya, and many more. We also feature periodic submitted poetry episodes. Visit viewlesswings.com to submit your original poetry. I'm your host, James Moorhead, Poet Laureate of Dublin, California, and author of Canvas, Portraits of Red and Gray, and The Plague Doctor. Hit subscribe and follow me on Instagram or Threads at Viewless Wings. On this week's episode of the Viewless Wings Poetry Podcast, we are featuring poems submitted to Viewless Wings and read by the authors. We love providing a platform for poets to share their words on viewlesswings.com and their voices on the Viewless Wings Poetry Podcast. Visit viewlesswings.com to learn more about how to submit your poem for a future episode, or find Viewless Wings on submittable.com. And now we turn the mic over to our first featured poet.
Hello, my name is Najya Williams, and I am a multidisciplinary artist who floats along the U.S. East Coast. I graduated from Harvard College, and I am currently a 2025 MD in Narrative Medicine Program graduate candidate from the Lewis Katz School of Medicine at Temple University. I'm devoted to the liberation and healing of all oppressed peoples, and this passion is reflected in many of my projects, service efforts, and literary works. My poetry, essays, and other writings have been accepted and or published by a number of organizations, including Poetry Magazine, Black Youth Project, and Healing Points. Currently, I'm also a managing editor for the Katz Journal of Medicine and board of director member for Girls Health Ed Incorporated. Looking ahead, I hope to continue inspiring full body wellness across the world, one word and one patient visit at a time. I'm very excited to share with you my poem, Clothes That Survived the Revolution, after Patricia McCarthy's Clothes That Escaped the Great War. I wrote this poem as a way to do a form of freedom dreaming after the filmmaker and artist Tourmaline. This has been an opportunity for me to think about what it is that I need to do to imagine the world that I want to live in and what I would need to shed in order to embody that world fully. Clothes that survived the revolution. Not the expected ghosts. Black leather jackets and lace-up boots, perfectly picked afros and winged black liner, nor kente cloth adorned fists on a sweatshop-produced t-shirt sold in department stores. But instead, we came face to face with the scarf knitted by my best friend Cassandra's grandmother that kept her warm on those late nights pounding the pavement beneath tear gas. The hand-sewn quilt from Aunt Lillian's old chest that made my tears and held my tears when I received word that the struggle was over and I could finally rest without fearing for what would await me after I reopened my eyes. Bell-bottom jeans, thrifted from the local hidden gym that sat with me at the feet of the elders while we blessed the babies who won't ever know the pain and agony from which they had to be born. Yet these were the most scary to recall. The quiet fabric of peace swaying in the air as if tethered to the now bare pole where the American flag once proudly stood over us all. And the soft fleece of communal healing encasing me in an embrace that I once wouldn't even dare to dream of, lest I be carved into a lesson and cautionary tale to be heard of, but never truly known. After centuries of praying for the chains to be broken and the revolution burn its way to the promised land, no one advised me on what to do with the clothes that survived, but must be left behind.
Hello there, this is HMS. I am so grateful to be part of the Viewless Wings podcast. I got to meet James at an open mic in the city at the Decentered open mic night. That was really fun. He heard my poem here, which I will be reading to you shortly. I've been writing since junior high, journals, poetry, that teenage angst, but I was also always interested in the poetic form. I'm an actor as well, so that awareness of sensitivity to people and to emotion connected with nature is always something that I find intriguing and beautiful and challenging and lovely and worth the struggle. So this is actually my first semester taking a poetry class at Berkeley City College. This is my first real study of poetic form and the poetic technique. And this poem has derived from one of the lessons we were learning was about list poems. Wide variety in which you can create a list poem. This subject just popped into my head and I just went with it. Okay, I'm so grateful to be featured here on Viewless Wings. Thank you so much. Here's my poem, How to be a Woman Who Holds Things, or How to Carry Things Like a Woman. Your own weight, plus your mother's weight, plus your grandmother's nail polish count, plus the size of your womb, plus the curvature of your father's eyebrows divided by the arch of your foot. Subtract your Monday night exhaustion, circumference impression on the couch, and the Rorschach pattern on your pillow Thursday morning. Double your waist measurements, the real ones, and multiply by how many times a month you crave dark chocolate, your ambition, your worries, how many times a month you say you'll start a compost. Tuesday. Balance baskets and toddlers and groceries and anger and staying pretty and car keys and coffee and too tight jeans and grief and class schedule, work schedule, social mingling, hair loss, postponing calling your sister, missing your niece's laughter and missing toothed smiles. Go ahead and grab, too, the judgment in every pair of eyes when you attempt to contain your wailing child on the airplane. Times the expectation of all men, times the expectation of all eyes of men. And books, too, and the news telling you what you should do, and the ever-growing list of impossible, ridiculous, unimaginable limitations. Now, how much does that weigh? Don't forget to pick up the birthday card and Lucy from soccer, along with the never-ending laundry, loads, and folding into the mold. Folding, is that too much? Enough to hold? Shh. Why are you talking so loud? Don't make a scene. But be fucking beautiful as a magazine. Lay down and pick up a tan, a bronze, a wax. Pick up a new haircut and expect it produces the same effect the movies promise to do. With you, too. You can be better, too. Always. You must always be being better. Then, add in the concern of your best friend for your well-being, plus doubt for that friendship's sincerity because she could carry more than you once last Saturday. Keep score. You must always be keeping score because they are. So what's the total now? Then, plus 10, or add the number your partner rates you in bed to his friends, then plus the number you would rate yourself if you had a better partner, and which parts of you count most. Subtract. Plastic bags purchased, too slow promotions, always under a microscope, no hiding, no peeking, but plumping promoted, yet never advertised as priced. Add shame for any time you make a decision on your own, times 2 if you're proud of it. Times the number of immediate family members, plus the number of unborn children, plus that thing you forgot at the store. Divided by the number of times you hoped they were the one. Grab a sunset on the beach for passing pleasure, and carry the guilt of enjoying that small moment of doing nothing else, and carry the fury of having to constantly be calculating, constantly improving, constantly calculated. Okay, so now, what's your total? How much are you holding? Can you beat it?
Hi, lovelies. My name is Shada Harris. I am a professional, well-seasoned dance choreographer, and I spread self-love through movement. I also teach awareness of self-love through my poetry. Like dance, I find poetry healing and comforting, and I love bringing people together with my work. My poem, Focus, it's my viewpoint of my community. Focus brings awareness and shines a light on the amazing parts of ourselves that may need a little remembering. Focus. I'm trying to inspire my brothers to stop sagging and bragging about what they packing. Don't you know your inner God packing while the universe still trekking? You question her because you're mad at your mother. But if you talk it out, that stuff's smooth like butter. You can't find yourself by messing with another. Gotta look in the mirror and see what you discover. You can't hide your pain. I see your tears on the cover. Brother, you deserve to cry. You got emotions like another. Don't let society strip you of your crown. My brother, you're a king. Go and release the frown. You're a creator and a leader. You can take us uptown. Gotta release that music that is not our godly sound. Your skin is so firm because your body is a map. The key is in your mind, so you can go and release that strap. The mind control, I stop it, so the government is a wrap. They try to control us through the seed, the food, and booze. Brother, you got to protect your mind, because if you snooze, you'll lose. My sister, your body is a temple. Complex is not at all simple. I've enjoyed you stopped the ripple. Generational curses at the pinpoint. Don't let him touch your body. Does he deserve it? You're too divine. You got to preserve it. Your portal is out of this world. Why you think they want to take it for a twirl? They're stealing all your DNA information. Why you think they want you naked? My sister, to me, you're sacred. Validate your emotions. No need to fake it. Girl, you deserve the world. You don't have to take it. You create your own food. That's how I know you'll make it. Look into the mirror and see that it's a reflection of you. No need to compare. We're all beautiful too. Like I love myself, I love you and you. We all come from source, baby. Like it or not, we the crew. My people, there's no need to rehearse. Ancestors did it with Jen. Now it's time to disperse. Generational curses broken. It's done. Reversed. Tap into that freedom. Release the veils and the curse. I said I'm here to heal. So stay tuned for the next real spill. Focus.
My name is Breanna Reyes. I am a 26-year-old Indigenous author living in Central California with my husband, my daughter, and our various little animals. I am a published author. I've been published in a number of journals and anthologies. When I'm not writing, you can find me in nature, mostly camping or at the beach. This poem is about my father and was written a couple of years back before I became a parent, but still holds a lot of truth for me. Which is to say, my father's name is Jamie. It's Hebrew for supplanter, which means to take over someone, which means to overpower, which is to say, maybe he never had a chance. My father's father wasn't actually his father, which means his last name, Mosley, wasn't supposed to be his last name, which is to say it shouldn't have been mine either. My father was Catholic, or he claimed to be, which means God forgave him for his sins, which means he thinks he's going to heaven, which means I cannot meet him there, which is to say he and I will reunite in hell because I refuse to believe God forgives all sins just because you say, I'm sorry. My father is not a good man. He is not a good Catholic. He is not a good father, which means I do not know much of him at all, which means my father is an enigma, wrapped in a death shroud propped up against a church pew, which is to say, I have not been to church in years.
My name is Joanne Jagoda, and I'm from Oakland. I guess you could call me a late bloomer. My writing career began when I retired and decided to take a writing workshop. From that first workshop, I knew I was meant to write. That started me on a trajectory of writing creative nonfiction, short stories, and in the last years, mostly poetry. I continue to take weekly workshops and various classes, and I have worked with several well-known Bay Area poets. My writing has been published in more than 60 journals and online publications, and I've won several awards. I've been nominated 2 times for a Pushcart Prize, most recently for the 2025 award. During the pandemic, I published my first book of poetry, My Runaway Hourglass, 70 poems for 70 years. The poem I'm going to read today is called Silent Witness. It's an homage to my grandmother, whom I never met, who was taken before I was born. I think about her, especially in the spring. Silent Witness. Sometimes when glorious spring arrives, teeming with pink blossoms and frisky daffodils, I think of her, my Oma, my namesake, my sweet grandmother. Her name inscribed on the transport list from Theresienstadt of May 15, 1944, duly noted by those efficient record keepers. The camp thinned so the Danish Red Cross could admire the newly beautified grounds, see happy prisoners at their model camp, with plenty of space for recreation and cultural activities. Burgeoning spring in its guileless innocence must have borne silent witness as the cattle trains lurched through the Polish countryside to Auschwitz, their destination in hell. Was the chorale of larks silenced? I'm sure they were. Did the ducks and geese stand by in shame? I know they did. Did the yellow crocus and golden marigolds weep? Yes, bitter tears. But there were no tearful goodbyes remaining for my grandmother. My grandfather already gone, struck down by typhus. Torn from her 5 sons and 1 grandchild before she was deported. Her heart rent as she bid them each farewell as they left Germany, knowing she might never see them again. Yet so grateful they managed to get out in time. Her fervent hopes and dreams for them perhaps lent her solace as that death train rattled along. On arrival, they were greeted by wraiths in stripes, playing dissonant melodies on violins. The welcome sign, Arbeit macht frei, marked in all its cruel irony. But they had no use for a 57-year-old woman considered elderly. She never got to hold me on her lap, sing me lullabies, or see me and my beloved stand under the wedding canopy. They marched her straight away to the gas showers. In her final moments, would that she could have foreseen the future, her dozens of beautiful, talented progeny beckoning like glittering galaxies, welcoming her to heaven. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Shannon Frost Greenstein. I'm an author and poet from Philadelphia. I live here with my soulmate and our 2 kids who keep me from being a crazy cat lady. I'm a former PhD candidate in continental philosophy and a multi-time Pushcart Prize nominee. My work has appeared in McSweeney's, Pithead Chapel, Bending Genres, parentheses Journal, and elsewhere. Just Google me. You can follow me on my website, shannonfrostgreenstein.com, or on the former Twitter at shannonfrostgre. My poem is entitled Bacchanal, and it was inspired by the best show on television right now, Yellow Jackets, fashioned after a particularly formative scene. This is Bacchanal. Give me more wine, bloody, like the stain of Fosse on Pippin's hands. Give me Ben Vereen, sex made incarnate, singing of Charlemagne's addiction to dopamine and glory. Bread, like security, a trigger in the lizard brain. Reward me. Decadence trickling from gaping mouths, the viscous juice of supple fruit, dripping down chins, onto breasts, hunger, licking, satiation. Give me Dionysus, god of madness, god of ecstasy. Give me Dionysus, the frenzied cult of souls, the ecstasy of worship. Hedonism, pleasure, glinting off golden headdresses, communal rapture as the last high, and delirium to avoid the sunrise. Give me Zarathustra, the Übermensch, he who is a seizure of power, the overcoming of mediocrity. Give me a deity to venerate, to kill. Men and women and fucking, limbs twining among limbs, Byzantine paths of thighs and tongues and climbing to climax, to clarity. Give me a bacchanal to forget the Buddhist suffering in this world. Give me a bacchanal because I just want to feel. And I can only feel when I feel to excess, like the long ago followers of Bacchus, ascending to rapture and praying for conception on the dawn of equinox at the birth of spring.
The Viewless Wings Poetry Podcast is written and produced by James Moorhead. You can follow me on Instagram, Threads, and YouTube at Viewless Wings. Hit subscribe to be notified of every episode of the Viewless Wings Poetry Podcast and spread the word with your poetry community.